Hello, BookTube, and welcome to a neglected BookTube event on my part, Octember 2025. This is a BookTube event that's new. It was created by James at Quaint and Curious Volumes, and it is designed to celebrate octopuses. To squids, mollusks, octopuses, tentacular wonders of all kinds, in fiction and nonfiction. And I love reading about these things in fiction and nonfiction. And last night I had a rather tedious bit of reading to do. A large chunk of it that is connected with this rather increasingly tedious workload that I apparently am slowly accumulating. There's all this deadline stuff that's growing, and last night I peppered my reading throughout with breaks, not breaks from reading. That would be crazy, but breaks from what I was reading to do other things, to read other things for enjoyment. One of those things was for Shorty September. One was for Sumerian September, another BookTube event, all very short things. And at one point, I wanted another break, and I remembered Octember and read a little masterpiece. It took me barely any time at all. That definitely fits the qualification. I read this. I read Tentacle Desert by Taylor Birch. And if I remember correctly, Taylor Birch is actually a pen name. But admittedly so. I think the author in his author bio admits that this is a pen name. This definitely counts as Octember. I'm pretty sure it counts in a way that everyone associated with Octember was expecting that I would count for. This is, you guessed it, tentacle fiction. And for those of you who may be blissfully unaware of what tentacle fiction is, it's a small branch, presumably small, hopefully small branch of, well, erotica. It's a small branch of fantasy literature in which the hero or heroes encounters a tentacular being, a being with tentacles of some kind or other, that is either science fiction, an alien, or supernatural, a supernatural being. And it uses its tentacles to go exploring. To go exploring. And the men in these stories are ecstatically happy about that. They may be at first a little uncomfortable, because, as I mentioned years ago when I was talking about one of the essential allures of tentacle fiction, tentacles get everywhere. And the men may be initially uncomfortable about that. I mean, do we know what the Watcher in the pond wanted with Frodo in the Fellowship of the Ring? They may be a little uncomfortable at first, but they get used to it. And from what I can gather, from what little I can gather, Taylor Birch is a kind of staple of this sort of thing. Has made an ongoing career of writing this kind of thing. I'll have to dig in deeper to that subject. This did turn out to be a wonderful little change of pace. It didn't take any time at all to read. It's a short story about a strapping, gorgeous, beautiful, muscular man named Cain, who is an explorer. He is a hunter. He is a figure of legend. When he was only 15, he killed the great snub-snout sand gator. No idea what that is. No idea what the world building is here. It's obviously not our Earth. Not completely. There are no snub-snout sand gators on our Earth. And yet, a lot of other things seem similar. Anyway, he is looking for something in this book. He's looking for something, someone, an experience called Nehbar. Nehbar. And he's a pretty good looker, so to speak. He's a pretty good hunter. But before he can continue with his quest, he encounters a young, gorgeous man named Nest, Gnest, who turns out to have been a bedroom favorite of the local prince, and who is being hunted. Cain and Nest meet each other on the road, and they have a pro forma awkward moment together. And the awkward moment is followed by page after page after page after page of them being not so awkward with each other, with more geyser eruptions than the one at the beginning of the Beverly Hillbillies. they get themselves all messed up. But Nest is curious about this quest, about whether or not they're going to get to Nabar and what they're going to find there. And Nabar is a giant, crystalline, semi-sentient tentacle being, in addition to everything else. And it has, when they finally do reach it, it has a gift for them, with a capital G. And that gift involves, among other things, an enhancement to one particular piece of their anatomy, and you'll never guess what it is. yes, they suddenly have a spleen that's 3 times as big as it once was. And that's pretty much it. The story ends right about there. I have to say, for Tentacle erotica, Taylor Birch is pretty good. I am long on record that I don't think that erotica as such, that the main point, the main subject matter of erotica has any place in writing. I guess at least with erotica there is a point to it being there, because that is the whole point. But sex scenes in normal fiction, I have never understood. They don't work. Period. None of them do. They can't work. They stop narrative. They stop narrative events. They do that in real life as well. They stop narrative. And if you're stopping narrative in the middle of a narrative, what are you doing? You might be pausing for breath, or letting your reader pause for breath, if you know what I mean. But you're not doing anything for your story. I don't believe that a sex scene in a novel is justifiable in any way, no matter how skilled you think you are at it. But if it's erotica, where that's the whole point, then maybe I can see that. And Taylor Branch is, I believe you, I have read my share of erotica, where that is those geysers are the whole point. And you can't only do that. You have to tell a story, the bare bones of a story, and that is where all of it falls down, because the writers don't have any ability to do anything other than just distract their readers. But Taylor Birch does. Those scenes are, they're predictably explosive. But the rest of the book, when we're not in those scenes, is interesting enough so that I was imagining, it took me no time at all to read this, and when I was reading it, I was imagining a version of the story that wasn't erotica. I mean, it would have to be erotica once they get to Nabar, but there's a lot of story before then. It's a classic meet cute, classic opposites attract, classic all of that, opposite worlds. I guess that Cain is a bit of a legend to Nest. Nest has heard of him, and he hasn't heard of Nest. I would love to know more about that. And that is not an organic thing. That is a construction of the author. When you get to the end of a story, even a story as brainless and one-handed as this one, if you want to know more about some aspect of it, that's because the author has made you want to know more. That's not a small talent. Even the explicitly erotic scenes were well done. Those scenes can also be very mechanical and very boring. They just didn't do anything for me. And even if it is the point, and in erotica it is the point, I still don't see, it's just ridiculous. It seems ridiculous to me. It seems also a little sordid. I mean, obviously, I know I'm the last person to say that, but that it seems a little sordid. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it. You know what your readers are paying for. Although I didn't pay for this. This was in Kindle Unlimited. But the rest of it, sure. Sure. The one defect that I would cite for Tentacle Desert is that there wasn't a whole lot of tentacle activity in here. Unless I misread the fine print and this is just a prelude to another story, there wasn't a whole lot of tentacle stuff. It was mainly our two main characters. In action and in conversation. So it wasn't exactly hitting my tentacle sweet spot. So maybe I honestly don't know what time I'm going to have for BookTube events at all. For this long weekend, starting today and then moving all the way until Monday. Until start of business on Monday. I really don't know. I really don't know. This thing was like it took 15 minutes to read. I can definitely spare 15 minutes, but I would hate it if my BookTube event roster degenerated to just tentacle fiction. That would be pretty bad. Thank God for Shorty September. And if I stick in Sumerian September to issues of Savage Sword of Conan, well, those don't take long either. So sorry that I'm not reading, gigantic books. The new Dan Alusky novel is almost 1,000 pages long, and I should be reporting on that. but some of that is going to have to wait. But I did manage to work in Tentacle Desert, so there you go. So I'll leave a link down below to James's announcement video. I don't know that any other Octember hosts have made any videos so far. I would love to move on to nonfiction. There's a piece of cephalopod nonfiction, natural history, that I haven't read that was brought to my attention. It's, I don't think, more than a couple of years old. I'd love to read that, but that would be a book on the roster. That would take time, and I don't know what kind of time I'm going to have. So we'll see. We'll find out together. Thank you, BookTube.